right, welcome back to NTV Weekend Edition. Now, findings from a section of America's leading media outlets indicate a very tight race in the 2024 election battleground states or swing states, which will no doubt be the deciding factor in Tuesday's November 5th, 2024 presidential election. So which are these states and what significance do they hold and for which candidate? Well, NTV is in the United States of America, and we'll now join our main man on the ground, Duncan Hayemba, who is on the road, of course, keeping an eye on that race to the White House. Hayemba, it is evening here, so good evening, good to see you. It's a very tight race now on the 11th hour as we run up to that election on the 5th of November. Talk to us about the swing states. Of course, both candidates, in the last-minute effort to sway voters in these swing states. How is that going so far?
Morning, Michelle. It is 11 a.m. here in the United States of America, specifically in this state of Arizona. Other states have different time zones, and basically that explains on how vast the United States of America is, and that leads to the question or the elephant in the room. It is now the game of numbers. America has 50 states. But I'll be telling you why specific states really matter in this particular election that has been billed by many as the most consequential election in the U.S. history. Which states are these? They are called the battlegrounds or the swing states. Let's take a look.
And I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fella.
With the latest opinion polls revealing a very tight race between the Democrat presidential candidate, Vice President Kamala Harris, and Republicans' former President Donald Trump, political pundits have identified 7 states which they believe will decide who wins the race to the White House. In order to be declared president, a candidate is supposed to win at least 270 electoral votes out of the 538 members of the Electoral College. Historically, Democrats or the blue states have always begun with 226 electoral votes already bagged in what is referred to as the blue states. While Republicans or the Grand Old Party traditionally hold 219 votes, the red states, with the remaining balance being hunted in the battlegrounds or the swing states, which usually vote differently in each election. They are referred to as the purple states. In this year's presidential election, battleground states are Arizona, which has 11 electoral college votes, Georgia with 16, Michigan has 15, Nevada has the least, which is 6. North Carolina has 16 electoral college votes. Pennsylvania has the highest, being 19 votes, while Wisconsin has 10, giving a total of 93 crucial electoral college votes, where both candidates have shifted their focus to. In 2020, the two candidates, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, focused on 6 battle states, but in 2024, there will be 7. Traditionally, Arizona State has been allied to the Republican Party, but in the 1996 and 2020, they voted for Democratic presidential candidates Bill Clinton and Joe Biden. The state, together with California, New Mexico, and Texas, share a border with Mexico, implying that the agenda on immigration will be a key issue. In Nevada State, results reveal that whoever has won in that state for the last 10 elections has clinched presidency since 1992, except in 2016, with Republicans only winning in 2000 and 2004. The rest have been won by Democrats. Georgia, with 16 electoral college votes, has always voted for Republicans, but in 2020, President Joe Biden made history after clinching the state, becoming the first Democrat to win Georgia in 30 years. Its capital, Atlanta, is a highly metropolitan area with one of the highest population of African Americans. Preserving democracy, immigration, and inflation have emerged as key issues that will likely influence the voting. North Carolina, with its 16 votes, has been a reliable red state or Republican all through, and Democrats have only won twice, being 1976 and 2008. That's Presidents Jimmy Carter and Barack Obama. Immigration is likely to be a major issue given that majority are whites, and it is in this state that Donald Trump gave a promise of largest deportation in America's history should he win the election. Historically, Michigan has voted for Democrats since 1992, except in 2016 when Trump won, becoming the first Republican to win since 1988. The state has the highest concentration of Arab Americans, meaning geopolitics might have an influence on the same, specifically the goings-on in Gaza. In September 2023, President Joe Biden joined striking workers in picketing. The vote-rich swing state is Pennsylvania with 19 votes, which Biden won in 2020 by a narrow margin of 1.2%. Research shows that cost of living and inflation is highest than in any other state and therefore will largely dictate voting. Wisconsin state has been voting for Democrats since 1988, but in 2016, Donald Trump won before Biden grabbed it back for Democrats in 2020. The area is huge in agriculture, particularly dairy farming, with immigrants making up to 28% of the workforce. It is seemingly an important state given that it is the venue which Republican Party chose for endorsing its candidate Donald Trump, while on the other hand, immediately after her endorsement, Democrat candidate Kamala Harris took her first campaign to that state and picked her running mate Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, which neighbors Wisconsin. Duncan Hemba, NTV.
So there you have it, the magical number 7 in terms of the 7 critical swing states or the 7 crucial battlegrounds. Of course, many pundits have the opinion that the states of Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania will be the deciding factor, but some are just saying it could be Pennsylvania because of its rich 19 electoral votes. So how will this pan out? 3 days to go. That explains why candidates, Democratic candidate, Vice President Kamala Harris and Republican former President Donald Trump continue to engage in a cat and mouse game, literally, or man-to-man marking. Today, we have it, Madam Vice President Kamala Harris will be in Georgia and North Carolina. Donald Trump of the Republican Party will also be in North Carolina. And you can see, just like yesterday, they were both in Wisconsin. This today, they will be again the same North Carolina state because of its 16 votes that are very crucial. Of course, Joe Biden made history by winning Georgia in 2020. Will Kamala Harris retain the same for the Democrats? And will she also clinch North Carolina? Remember that in Pennsylvania, Joe Biden won by a very narrow margin because that is home area. And talking of President Joe Biden, he will be there today to drum support for the Democratic candidate, his Vice President Kamala Harris. That is the state of the race here in the United States. 3 days to go. From Phoenix, Arizona, I'll now be switching flanks from the left or from the west from the west coast to the east coast. I'll be moving to Philadelphia in the east from tomorrow to give you more updates on how this now will be panning out as the race continues to be tighter and tighter down to the wire. Over to you, Michelle, in studio.
Many thanks. That is our international affairs reporter, Duncan Haimba, live for us from the state of Arizona, just 3 days before voters in the U.S. go to the ballot in what has been termed the most consequential election in recent history.